Today we're going to look at a second day of solving quadratics using factoring. So as a review from yesterday, if we want to solve these, we have the three terms here and it's a quadratic. We make our box and circle. So we have 4x squared, 4x and 1. Multiply a times our c value, so 4 times 1 is 4. And we list out those multiples, 4, 1, 2, 2. And we're looking for things that multiply to 4 and add to this inner number of 4 as well. So we'll do 2 and 2. So we have 2x and 2x. So our factor on the outside, we have 2x factors out of both. So 2x times what gives you 2x is positive 1. 2x times what gives you 2x is positive 1. And 1 times 1 is 1. So it factors into 2x plus 1 times 2x plus 1 equals 0. Well, we can set each parenthesis equal to 0, so it's the same thing. Solve for x, and we have x equals negative 1/2. We also looked at how to solve by taking the square roots as well. So this one here, we want to get the squared by itself, so divide by 3. So we have x minus 1 squared equals 9. And then we can take the square root of each. So we have x minus 1 equals positive 3. Oops, and I could have taken off that parenthesis there, equals negative 3. So solving these, we end up with x equals 4 and x equals negative 2. We're going to look at a few more today, very similar to what we did yesterday, except we have to do a little bit more work before we factor. For example, this one, we need to set it equal to 0 first. So subtract the 10x and add the 2. So minus 10x and add the 2. So we have 8x squared minus 10x plus 2 equals 0. And now we can do that box and circle. We can try factoring it. So we have 8x squared negative 10x positive 2. 8 times 2 is 16. So multiply the 16 and adds to 10. Well, I know that's 8 and 2. Since it's negative 10, we'll make them both negative. So we have negative 8x and 2x. So what is our GCF of this top row? Well, 8x times x. So minus 1, 8x times minus 1 is negative 8x. 8x times, oh, this was supposed to be negative 2x. There we go, negative 2. And negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. So it factors into x minus 1 times 8x minus 2 equals 0. And then we set each parenthesis equal to 0. So 8x minus 1 equals 0, so x equals 1. And 8x minus 2 equals 0, so x equals 2/8, which reduces down to 1/4. So this next one, we have to set it equal to 0 first, but we have parentheses. And to factor, we can't have those parentheses there, so let's distribute. So we have x squared plus 10x equals 4x minus 8. Let's set this equal to 0. So now we have x squared plus 6x plus 8. And you can box and circle. Some of you are getting used to these easy ones, and you say, well, I know what that is. That's x plus 4 and x plus 2. Or you can do your box and circle. So we have x equals negative 4 and x equals negative 2. It's nice and easy when it's just an x plus something to solve there. So why don't you pause the video and then try these two. Well, hopefully on this one you realize set it equal to 0 is pretty easy. Subtract the 5. So you have x squared plus 14x equals 40, oops, not equals, excuse me, plus 44 equals 0. You did that box and circle on here. X squared 14x, 44. So multiplies to 44. Let's see, we got 44 and 1, 22 and 2, 4 and 11. So this one might not be factorable, unless I'm missing something here. So not factorable. And then we'll talk about tomorrow about how we're going to solve some of these that are not factorable. Well, this next one doesn't have three terms, but we can divide an x out of both of these. So you have x times 4x plus 7 equals 0. So in this case, we just have our x equals 0 and 4x plus 7 equals 0. So x equals negative 7/4. So we have our two answers right there. Okay, this next one, well, this is looking a little bit more complicated, these two. You notice we have the parentheses, which usually take a square, but then we have just a quadratic over here. So we are going to have to multiply this out. X plus 1 times x plus 1 equals 2x squared minus 5x plus 11. So if we multiply it out, we got x squared plus 1x plus 1x plus 1. So now we have x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 2x squared minus 5x plus 11. And I usually like to keep that a term positive, so we could subtract the 2x, but I'm going to just subtract the x squared, subtract the 2x, subtract the 1. So now we have 0 equals x squared minus 7x plus 10. And again, you can box and circle. Some of you might recognize this is x minus 5 and x minus 2. So we have x equals 5 and x equals 2. So this last one, again, I like to make the a term positive. So I'm going to add 9x squared and add 4. So now we have 9x squared minus 12x plus 4 equals 0. And again, when that a term is bigger than 1, I have to do the box and circles. So a times c, so we got 36. Well, I know that's going to be negative 6 and negative 6 to give us that 12, so negative 6x. And let's see, the GCF of this top row is 3x, so 3x and 3x minus 2 minus 2. So we have 3x minus 2, 3x minus 2 equals 0, so x is 2/3. Now this last one is a word problem here. Two integers differ by 12 and the sum of their squares is 74. So we have two numbers, x and x plus 12, and the sum of their squares, so squares squared, is 74. So let's see, we're going to have to multiply this part out. So we got x squared plus 12x plus 12x plus 144 equals 74. So now we have 2x squared plus 24x. Let's see, if we subtract the 74, then we'll have 0 over here. So we have plus 70. And that looks pretty big to multiply, so I'm going to divide out a 2 out of all these. So you have x squared plus 12x plus 35 equals 0. So let's see, what is this going to be? This will be x plus 7 and x plus 5. So we have x equals negative 7 and x equals negative 5. So now we just have to figure out what one it is. Well, let's see. If this was negative 7, something 12 bigger would be positive 5. If it was negative 5, something 12 bigger would be positive 7. And then we can double check those. So we have negative 7 squared plus 5 squared. So we got 49 plus 25, which is, 74. So we have two different possibilities.